There aren't many actors like Denzel Washington. Not in terms of talent, though he has plenty of that, but in terms of consistency. He's been a major movie star for almost 40 years, and in that time, he's never really stumbled. Never had a public meltdown, never got caught up in a scandal, never made a string of terrible movies that killed his career. He just keeps showing up, doing excellent work, being the kind of person Hollywood claims to value but rarely actually produces. And that's unusual, because fame tends to break people or at least reveal their worst qualities. But Denzel seems different, like he figured something out early and stuck to it. He was born in 1954 in Mount Vernon, New York, a working-class city just north of the Bronx. His father was a Pentecostal minister. His mother owned beauty parlors. The household was strict, religious, focused on discipline and values. Denzel has talked about how his parents didn't let him run wild, how there were rules and expectations and consequences. That structure probably saved him, especially when his parents split up when he was 14. The divorce was rough on him, sent him spinning for a bit. He started hanging out with the wrong kids, getting into trouble, heading down a path that could have ended badly. His mother saw it happening and made a decision. She sent him to a prep school in upstate New York, Oakland Academy. It was a private boarding school, mostly white, totally different from the neighborhood he'd grown up in. Denzel has said that decision changed his life. It removed him from the environment that was pulling him down and put him somewhere with structure, expectations, people who believed he could do something with himself. He played basketball, did theater, started to see a different kind of future. College came next, Fordham University in the Bronx. He started as a journalism major, then switched to political science, then pre-med. He didn't know what he wanted to do. Then he took a drama class and something clicked. He was good at it, felt comfortable on stage in a way he hadn't expected. A professor encouraged him, told him he had real talent. After graduating, he spent a summer at a theater camp in Connecticut, and that sealed it. He was going to be an actor. He enrolled in the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco for graduate school, lasted 1 year before dropping out to pursue acting full-time. This was the late 70s, and it wasn't easy. He did theater in New York, small productions, off-Broadway stuff, barely making enough to survive. He worked other jobs to pay rent, did the struggling actor thing that most people never make it past. But he was talented enough that people noticed. He got cast in a Shakespeare in the Park production, then started landing small TV roles. In 1982, he got his big break. He was cast as Dr. Philip Chandler in a new medical drama called Sent Elsewhere. The show was critically acclaimed, ran for 6 seasons, and Denzel became a familiar face. But he wasn't a star yet. He was a working actor on a good show, which is more than most actors ever achieve, but it wasn't movie stardom. That came gradually, through a series of smart choices and excellent performances. His first major film role was in Cry Freedom in 1987, where he played South African activist Steve Biko. The role was small in terms of screen time. Biko dies halfway through the movie, but Denzel made it count. He brought depth and dignity to the character, and he got noticed. Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. That same year, he was in A Soldier's Story, playing a soldier caught up in a murder investigation on a segregated army base. Another strong performance in a film that dealt with race, identity, violence. Then came Glory in 1989. He played Private Tripp, a defiant, angry former slave fighting for the Union in the Civil War. It's a raw, powerful performance, full of pain and rage and pride. There's a scene where his character is whipped for going AWOL, and Denzel plays it with tears streaming down his face, but his eyes locked in defiance, refusing to break. It's one of those performances that stays with you. He won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, and suddenly he wasn't just a working actor anymore. He was someone Hollywood had to pay attention to. What's interesting is what Denzel did next. He could have chased blockbusters, taken the biggest paycheck, tried to become an action star. Instead, he kept choosing interesting roles in serious films. He played a jazz musician in Mo Better Blues, a lawyer in The Pelican Brief, an idealistic journalist in The Mighty Quinn. He worked with Spike Lee multiple times, building a relationship with a director who wanted to tell Black stories with complexity and depth. He wasn't in a hurry, wasn't desperate to be the biggest star in the world. He was building a career. The real turning point came in 1992 with Malcolm X. Spike Lee was directing, and Denzel was playing one of the most important and controversial figures in American history. It was a massive role, a 3-hour-plus film that required Denzel to portray Malcolm at different stages of his life, from street hustler to convict to minister to international figure. He disappeared into it, captured the cadence of Malcolm's speech, the intensity of his presence, the evolution of his thinking. It's one of the greatest biographical performances ever put on film. He didn't win the Oscar, which still bothers a lot of people. Al Pacino won that year for Scent of a Woman, a much flashier performance in a much lighter film. But Denzel got something more valuable than a statue. He got credibility, respect, the understanding in Hollywood that he could carry a major film and deliver a performance that mattered. After Malcolm X, he was a leading man, a star, someone studios wanted. And that's when he could have gone off the rails. That's when a lot of actors do. The money gets bigger, the fame gets real. He kept working steadily, choosing a mix of commercial films and prestige projects. He was in The Preacher's Wife, a crowd-pleasing romantic fantasy. He was in Courage Under Fire, a military drama about investigating a cover-up. He was in The Hurricane, playing boxer Reuben Carter, who was wrongly imprisoned for murder. Another Oscar nomination. Then in 2001, he won Best Actor for Training Day, playing a corrupt detective who manipulates a rookie cop over the course of one day. It was a villain role, or at least a deeply morally compromised character, and Denzel played it with charm and menace in equal measure. That win made him only the second Black actor to win Best Actor, after Sidney Poitier almost 40 years earlier. The gap says something ugly about Hollywood, about who gets opportunities and recognition. But Denzel took the moment seriously, acknowledged Poitier in his acceptance speech, talked about standing on the shoulders of those who came before. He understood the significance without making it the only thing that defined him. After Training Day, he could do pretty much anything. He did action films like Man on Fire and The Equalizer, thrillers like Inside Man and Safe House, literary adaptations like The Great Debaters, which he also directed. He worked with great directors, Ridley Scott, Tony Scott, Robert Zemeckis, Spike Lee multiple times. He developed a persona, a screen presence that was authoritative, intelligent, intense. When Denzel's on screen, you believe him. Whether he's playing a hero or a villain, a real person or a fictional character, there's a gravity to him that commands attention. But he's also been careful about the roles he takes. He's turned down massive franchises, parts that would have made him even richer and more famous. He reportedly turned down the role of Jon Stewart in a Green Lantern movie and several other superhero films. He turned down Michael Clayton, which went to George Clooney and got him an Oscar nomination. He said no to a lot of things because they didn't feel right, didn't align with the image he wanted to project or the stories he wanted to tell. There's a calculation in that, but also a principle. Denzel's been conscious from early on about representation, about the fact that for a lot of audiences, especially Black audiences, he's not just an actor. He's a symbol, an example, someone kids look up to. And he's taken that responsibility seriously. He's talked about not wanting to play certain kinds of roles, not wanting to perpetuate stereotypes, or do work that he'd be ashamed of. That's limited him in some ways, but it's also given his career a coherence that most actors never achieve. His directing career has been quieter but consistent. He directed Antwon Fisher in 2002, a drama about a Navy sailor dealing with childhood trauma. He directed The Great Debaters in 2007, about a debate team from a Black college in the 1930s. He directed Fences in 2016, adapting the August Wilson play in which he also starred. All three films were well-received, serious dramas focused on Black characters and stories that don't usually get told on screen. He wasn't trying to direct action blockbusters or broad comedies. He was using his position to make films that mattered to him. Fences is particularly worth talking about because it shows Denzel at his best, both as actor and director. He plays Troy Maxson, a garbage collector in 1950s Pittsburgh who once had dreams of being a baseball player before the color barrier, and his own choices destroyed those dreams. It's a big, theatrical performance, all monologues and emotion and barely contained rage. He's not subtle in it, doesn't hold back, and it works because the character is someone who's too big for his own life, someone whose anger and regret leak out in everything he does. Denzel got another Oscar nomination for it, and the film reminded people that he's not just a movie star. He's a serious actor who can handle material with weight and complexity. He's in his late 60s now, still working constantly, still choosing interesting projects. He's done more Equalizer movies, returning to that character of a retired operative helping people in trouble. He's done smaller films like Roman J. Israel, Esquire, playing an idealistic lawyer whose principles get tested. He's preparing to play Othello on Broadway, returning to Shakespeare at an age when most actors are coasting. He's not coasting. He's still pushing, still taking risks, still proving he can do the work. What stands out about Denzel's career isn't just the quality, though that's remarkable. It's the consistency. He's been working at a high level for 4 decades without any major scandals, failures, or embarrassments. No arrests, no rehab, no ugly divorces, no public feuds with directors or co-stars. In an industry where drama is almost expected, where self-destruction is common enough to be a cliché, Denzel has been almost boring in his stability. And that's not boring at all, actually. It's extraordinary. Part of it is his faith. He's been open about being a Christian, about praying, about trying to live according to principles that go beyond Hollywood. He's talked about tithing, giving away money to church and charity, believing that his success is a blessing that comes with obligations. That's not a common attitude among actors, who tend to either hide their faith or perform it for attention. Denzel just lives it, quietly, without making a big show of it but also without hiding it. Part of it is his family. His wife Pauletta is an accomplished musician and actress in her own right, and by all accounts, they've built a real partnership. They have 4 kids, 2 of whom have gone into acting. John David Washington, his oldest son, has become a star himself with roles in Black KK Klansman and Tenet. Denzel's spoken about how proud he is, but also about how he tried not to push his kids into the business, wanted them to find their own paths. That's a different approach than some Hollywood parents take, where the kids are props for their own egos. Part of it is just character. Denzel made decisions about who he wanted to be and stuck to them, even when it would have been easier or more profitable to do otherwise. He decided he wasn't going to be the guy chasing every role, wasn't going to embarrass himself for a paycheck, wasn't going to play characters that degraded him or his community. He decided his personal life mattered more than his career, that being present for his family was more important than being in every major film. Those are hard decisions to make when you're being offered millions of dollars and fame and validation. There's also a pragmatism to him that's refreshing. He's not pretentious about acting, doesn't talk about it like it's some mystical art form. He talks about it like a job, a craft, something you work at and get better at through practice. He said that acting is just organized lying, that it's about believing the circumstances and responding truthfully. He's talked about learning his lines, doing his preparation, showing up ready to work. There's no tortured artist routine with him, no method acting stories about staying in character for months. He does the work and goes home, but that doesn't mean he's not serious about it. Watch his performances and you'll see someone who's thought deeply about every choice, every line reading, every gesture. He makes it look easy because he's done the hard work beforehand. That's what real craft looks like, not making a show of how difficult it is, but making it seem effortless. He's also been smart about aging. He hasn't tried to be 20 years younger than he is, hasn't done weird plastic surgery, or pretended he can still play the roles he did in his 30s. He's taken roles appropriate for his age, played fathers and mentors and authority figures. The Equalizer films work because he's playing someone older, experienced, carrying the weight of a violent past. He couldn't have done those 20 years ago the same way. He's let himself age and found ways to make that aging work for him. There's a generosity to Denzel, too, that doesn't always get talked about. He's mentored younger actors, given advice, helped people navigate the industry. When Chadwick Boseman died, it came out that Denzel had quietly paid for part of his tuition to a summer theater program at Oxford when Boseman was a struggling student. Boseman had never said anything publicly, and Denzel hadn't either. That's who he is, apparently. Someone who helps people without needing credit for it. He's also been willing to speak uncomfortable truths. He's talked about fatherhood in the Black community, about the importance of fathers being present, about how his own father's example shaped him. He's talked about personal responsibility, about making good choices, about not blaming everything on external circumstances. Those aren't always popular positions, especially when they come from a successful person talking to people who haven't had the same opportunities. But he said them anyway, believing that the message matters even if it's uncomfortable. Is Denzel perfect? Of course not. Nobody is. He's made films that didn't work, given performances that were fine but not great. He's surely made mistakes in his personal life that we don't know about because he's kept them private. He's operated in an industry built on inequality and exploitation, and he's benefited from that industry even as he's tried to change it. But measured against the standard of most Hollywood stars, he's been remarkably consistent in his values and his choices. What's his legacy going to be? Partially, it'll be the performances. Malcolm X and Training Day and Glory and Fences and a dozen others that showcase his range and skill. He's created characters that matter, that stay with people, that show the complexity and humanity of Black life in ways that Hollywood has historically avoided. He's been a leading man when Hollywood claimed Black actors couldn't open movies, and he's proven that wrong over and over again. But his legacy will also be the example he set, of how to be a star without being destroyed by it, of how to have a career and a family and a life that extends beyond the industry, of how to stay grounded when everything around you is designed to make you lose perspective. That's not as flashy as an Oscar, but it might be more valuable. Because there are a lot of talented actors in the world, but there aren't many who manage to stay whole while navigating Hollywood for 40 years. Denzel Washington figured out something that eludes most people in his position. He figured out that fame is a tool, not a destination. That success means being able to do the work you want to do and live the life you want to live, not just accumulating awards and money. That consistency and character matter more than headlines. He made those choices deliberately, stuck to them stubbornly, and the result is a career that's not just successful but admirable. He's still working, still showing up, still proving that you can be excellent without being excessive, that you can be a star without being a disaster, that you can navigate Hollywood without losing yourself.